Good morning everyone. So in our previous class we discussed about the features of directing and also we come to know the concept of importance of directing, right? So in this class we will move towards the another concept of directing, that is about the principles of directing. Okay, today's concept is about what? Principles of directing. See, the meaning of principle, as you know that meaning of principle, right? Then what do you mean by the principle? Yes, principle, it is nothing but the rules or general guidelines. Principles andrenu rules or guidelines. Okay, it is an rules or the guidelines for the directing process. As you know that what do you mean by the directing, right? So directing, it involves, it is concerned with the guiding, instructing, motivating and inspiring the employees in order to achieve the predetermined objectives, right? So that is about the directing. Okay, for directing process there are some of the principles or we can see some of the guidelines for the manager. Hagare, why we require the guidelines or why we require the rules or the principles for the directing process? Because directing process, it is not an easy task. Okay, directing process, it is an complex, it is a challenging task for the manager. Okay, so providing the good and effective direction is a challenging task because it involves the many complexities. Because in directing process alli tumba complexities ide. So ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಇದನ್ನ ಏನಂತೀವಿ, it is a challenging task for the manager because as a manager he has to handle the people who are from the different background. So in the organization the employees background is different and also the expectations of the peoples or the employees in the organization, that is also different from the each other. Okay, so in this scenario to directing the people, it is and become as a challenging task for the manager. So that here is some of the guidelines or the principle for the managers for the directing process. Okay, so ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದಪ್ಪ ಅಂದರೆ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ನಮಗೆ ಯಾಕೆ ಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಸ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅ ಚಾಲೆಂಜಿಂಗ್, ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜರ್ಗೆ ಇದು ಚಾಲೆಂಜಿಂಗ್ ಟಾಸ್ಕ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬ ಜನ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಓಕೆನಾ, ಸೊ ಈ ಎಲ್ಲ ವರ್ಕರ್ಸು ಅಥವಾ ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯೀಸು ದೇ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದ ಸೇಮ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಸೇಮ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ ಇರ್ತಾರಾ? ಇಲ್ಲ. The attitude of the people, it is different from each other. The personality of the people, it is different from each other, right? The thinking level, okay, so that is also different from each other. Okay, the background, the personal background of the people, it is different from the each other, and also the expectations of the people, okay, so that is also different from each other, right? So ಒಬ್ಬರ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟೇಷನ್ಸು ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬರ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟೇಷನ್ಸು ಸೇಮ್ ಇರಲ್ಲ, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದ ಈಚ್ ಅದರ್. ಸೊ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಸಿನಾರಿಯೋ ಫಾರ್ ದ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜರ್ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿಕಮ್ ಆಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಡಿಫಿಕಲ್ಟಿ ಟು ದ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ರಾಸೆಸ್. ಈ ಸಿನಾರಿಯೋದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜರ್ಗೆ ತುಂಬ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ರಾಸೆಸ್ ಅಥವಾ ಪೀಪಲ್ನ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು. ಸೊ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹಿಯರ್ ವಿತ್ ದ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಆಫ್ ದೀಸ್ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ಸ್ or with the help of these rules or the guidelines, the manager will going to do the directing process. Okay, so ಈ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ಸ್ ಇಂದ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜರ್ಗೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ರಾಸೆಸ್ನ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ. ಹಾಗಾದರೆ ಯಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದಾವೆ, ವಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ಆಲ್ ದ ಗೈಡ್ಲೈನ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ದ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ process that we need to discuss. Okay, let me discuss one by one what are all the guidelines or the principles of directing. Okay, see, the first one principle of directing, that is about the maximum individual contribution. First one principle, maximum individual contribution. So maximum individual contribution, this is the first principle of directing. Okay, so in this principle what they say means, so as you know that in the organization, so there are several people are working, so there will be the different levels of, okay, so in the different level of management the individuals are working. Okay, their authority is different from each other, the job assignment it is different from each other. So even though all these things, all the people or all the individuals are the part of the organization, right? So in this principle what they say means, so we have to increase the or maximum contribution by the individuals. Individuals ಯಾರೆಲ್ಲ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವರು ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ಸ್ನ ಅಚೀವ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಇನ್ನು ಅವರು 100% ಆಫ್ ಎಫರ್ಟ್ಸ್ನ ಹಾಕಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ದ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ process. See, in this principle they say that this principle emphasizes, it is nothing but the importance. This principle gives the importance that directing technique must help every individuals in the organization. Okay, so what are all the directing technique which we are going to be used? Okay, so that directing technique should be what motivate the employees to contribute their 100% of efforts towards the achievement of the organizational objectives. Okay, see, ಈ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂದರೆ, ಸೊ ಈ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂದರೆ, ಸೊ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯೀಸ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೋ, ಸೊ ಆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯೀಸು ಅವರು 100% ಆಫ್ ಎಫರ್ಟ್ಸ್ನ ಹಾಕಬೇಕು. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಲೈಕ್ ವೈಸ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಮೋಟಿವೇಟ್ ದ employees. Likewise we have to choose the directing techniques to motivate the employees to contribute their 100% of efforts towards the achievement of organizational objectives. Okay, see, organizational goals na achieve ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೋ ಅಥವಾ ಯಾರೆಲ್ಲ ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯೀಸ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೋ ಆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯೀಸು ಅವರ 100% ಆಫ್ ಎಫರ್ಟ್ಸ್ನ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಫಾರ್ ದ ಪರ್ಪಸ್ ಆಫ್ ವಾಟ್? ಫಾರ್ ದ ಪರ್ಪಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಚೀವಿಂಗ್ ದ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನಲ್ objectives. So likewise we have to motivate the employees. Likewise we have to choose the directing technique. Okay, in this principle they are going to say this. Okay, clear? In simple, the management should adopt such directing technique. Okay, as a management he should, or the management should choose the technique, that is directing technique, that motivate the employees to contribute their 100% of efforts towards the achievement of the organizational objectives. Okay, so as a management agi one technique na athwa directing policy agli technique nagi choose ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. Okay, so ಆ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕ್ ಹೇಗಿರಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯೀಸ್ಗೆ ಮೋಟಿವೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಯಾವ ಥರ ಅಂದರೆ ಅವರು ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯೀಸು 100% ಆಫ್ ಎಫರ್ಟ್ಸ್ನ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಥರ, ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನಲ್ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ಸ್ನ ಅಚೀವ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಥರ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಮೋಟಿವೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಸೇಯಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕ್. Okay, so that is what saying in this principle. Okay, so for this let me give an example. Okay, see, a good motivation plan with the suitable monetary and non-monetary rewards can motivate the employees to contribute their maximum towards the achievement of organizational objectives. See, ಒಂದು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರೋ okay monetary and motivation plan. So motivation plan andre so maybe in terms of monetary, okay, monetary rewards ಆಗಿರಬಹುದು, ನಾನ್ ಮಾನಿಟರಿ ರಿವಾರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಇಂದ ಆಗಿರಬಹುದು, ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯೀಸ್ ಏನಾಗ್ತಾರೆ ಮೋಟಿವೇಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಇನ್ ಆರ್ಡರ್ ಟು ಗೆಟ್ ದೀಸ್ ಅವಾರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಕಾಂಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಟ್ ದೇರ್ 100% ಆಫ್ ಎಫರ್ಟ್ಸ್ towards the achievement of the organizational objectives, right? See, say for example monetary benefits ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಸೊ ಬೋನಸ್ ಕೊಡೋದಾಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಸ್ಯಾಲ್ರಿನ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಮಾಡೋದಾಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ತುಂಬ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಯಾರು ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೋ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಏನು ಮಾನಿಟರಿ ಇನ್ ಮಾನಿಟರಿ ಟರ್ಮ್ಸ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಗಿವ್ ದ ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಎ ಮಾನಿಟರಿ ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ಸ್. Okay, when it comes to the non monetary benefits, when non monetary benefits ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಸೊ ಕಂಪ್ನಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಅವಾರ್ಡ್ ಇಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಾರೆ, okay, employee of the year. Okay, so here the monetary it is not going to be work, but the prestige of the employees get increases in the organization ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಸೊ ಯಾರು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೋ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಏನು ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯಿ ಆಫ್ ದ ಇಯರ್ ಅಂತಂದು ಅವಾರ್ಡ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಮಾನಿಟರಿ, but it is in the non-monetary terms. So in this scenario, in order to get this, the employees get motivated. Okay, so ee tara monetary matte non-monetary benefits indanu employees motivate aagtare towards the contributing the more efforts towards the achievement of the objectives, right? So this is the example for the maximum individual contribution. ಸಿ ಇನ್ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ ಯಾರು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಓದ್ತಿರೋ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಮೆಡಲ್ ಅಂತ ಇಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಾರಲ್ವಾ. ಸೊ ಯಾರು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರೋ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಗೋಲ್ಡ್ ಮೆಡಲ್, ಓಕೆ, ಯಾರು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ರ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಬರ್ತಿರೋ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಗೋಲ್ಡ್ ಮೆಡಲ್. ಸೊ ಅದು ಗೋಲ್ಡ್ ಮೆಡಲ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ನೀವೇನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ, ಸೊ ಯು ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಅನ್ ಒನ್ ಮೋಟಿವೇಶನ್ ಫಾರ್ ಯು. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ನೀವು ಆ ಮೆಡಲ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ, ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಓದ್ತೀರಾ, ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಓದೋಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಸೊ ನಾನು ಆ ಮೆಡಲ್ನ ತಗೋಬೇಕು, ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ನೀವು ರ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಬರಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದು ಯು ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಓಕೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ, ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಓದ್ತೀರಾ. ಸೊ ನಾಟ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಅದು ನಾನ್ ಮಾನಿಟರಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಮಾನಿಟರಿ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಸೊ ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಸೊ ಯಾರು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ರ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಬರ್ತಿರೋ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ 5,000 rupees. Okay, likewise in the monetary terms also they are going to give the benefits for the students. Okay, so that is an example. So in order to get this rewards you are going to put more efforts. So ಇರೋ ಎಫರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಗಿಂತ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ, ನೀವು ತುಂಬ ಎಫರ್ಟ್ ಹಾಕ್ತೀರಾ, ತುಂಬ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಓದ್ತೀರಾ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಆನ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಫಾರ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್. ಓಕೆ, ಲೈಕ್ ವೈಸ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ನೀವು ಈ ಥರ ಹೆಂಗಾಗುತ್ತೋ ಇದೇ ಥರನೇ ಇನ್ ದ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯೀಸ್ಗೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ ದ rewards now in the terms of monetary as well as in the terms of non-monetary also they are going to provide the rewards. Okay, they are going to provide the rewards. So through this the employees get motivated. idrinda enagtare employees motivate aagtare, and also in order to get this they are going to contribute the 100% of their efforts towards the achievement of the objectives. Okay, so this is about the first principle of the directing process. So in simple agi ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ, so the management should adopt such a directing policy that motivates the employees to contribute their maximum potential for the attainment of organizational objectives. Okay, so this is about the first one principles, and the next one principle it is about the harmony of objectives. objectives. So this is the second principle of, or else we can say that it is a second guidelines for the directing process. Then what do you mean by the harmony of objectives? Okay, that we know, come to know. So see, when it comes to the harmony of directing, so this is also one of the principle of the directing process. So when find the individual objectives of the employees and the organizational objectives as understood as a conflicting to each other. See, as you know that sometimes the individual objectives, right? So individual objectives andre organizational individual objectives and the overall organizational objectives, that is in the conflicting in nature. Okay, so individual objectives and so individual and organizational objectives, these two objectives are always in the conflicting nature. So yavaglu sometimes enagtirutte andre individual objectives matte organizational objectives conflicting nature agirutte. Say for example helbeku andre, so individual objectives andrenu, so getting the attractive salary, okay, and the monetary benefits to fulfill his personal needs. Okay, so our personal needs, employees na personal needs na satisfy ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ they want the monetary benefits. Okay, they want the attractive salary. Okay, that is attractive salary. Okay, it is an objective of an individual, but when it comes to the objective of an organizational, so the organization wants or expect the employees to improve their productivity. Okay, so the organization wants to, or the organization expects from the employees to improve the productivity, so increasing the productivity. So increase the productivity for what purpose? For the purpose of achieving the profit. So this is an objective of an organization. Okay, so these two are the always in sometimes in the conflict nature alli irutte alva. Hence directing as an, in this scenario the directing plays an important role to establish the harmony and coordination in between the two objectives. ಸೊ ಈ ಎರಡು ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ಸ್ ಗಳ ನಡುವೆ ಹಾರ್ಮನಿ ಅಥವಾ ಒಂದೇ ತರ ಅಥವಾ ಕೋಆರ್ಡಿನೇಷನ್ ನ ಬಿಲ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ದ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ವಿಲ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಪ್ಲೇ ಅ ಮೇಜರ್ ರೋಲ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಇನ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ, ಸೊ ಇನ್ ಆರ್ಡರ್ ಟು ಬ್ರಿಂಗ್ ದ, ಓಕೆ, ವಿ ವಾಂಟ್ ದ harmony in between the two parties, that is harmony in between the individual objectives and the organizational objectives. ಸೊ ನಾವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯೀಸ್ಗೆ ಯಾವ ಥರ ಟ್ರೈನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಥವಾ ಯಾವ ಥರ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದರೆ, ಇಫ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ದ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ, ಓಕೆ, ದೆನ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಗೆಟ್ ದ ಮೋರ್ ಸ್ಯಾಲರಿ. ಸೊ ಬೋತ್ ದ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಸ್ಯಾಟಿಸ್ಫೈಡ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಸೊ ಇವರಿಗೆ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಯಿತು, ಇವರಿಗೆ ಸ್ಯಾಲರಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಬಂತು. ಲೈಕ್ ವೈಸ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಬ್ರಿಂಗ್ ದ ಹಾರ್ಮನಿ ಇನ್ ದೇರ್ objectives. Okay, we are going to bring the harmony and the coordination in between the two objectives. So that is about the another principle of the directing, that is about the harmony of the objectives. Okay, see, sometimes these two objectives it is nothing but the individual objectives and the organizational objectives are conflicting in nature. ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಕಾನ್ಫ್ಲಿಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ನೇಚರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಬಟ್ ಹೆನ್ಸ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಆಸ್ ಆನ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ರೋಲ್ ಟು ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಹಿಯರ್ in this scenario the directing will going to play an important role to bring the or to establish the harmony and the coordination in between the two objectives. Okay, so this is also one of the principles of the directing process. Okay, so ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಈ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಎರಡು ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ಸ್ ಕಾನ್ಫ್ಲಿಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ನೇಚರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ನಾವು ಈ ಎರಡು ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ನಡುವೆ ಹಾರ್ಮನಿ ಅಥವಾ ಕೋಆರ್ಡಿನೇಷನ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಇರಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಕೋಆರ್ಡಿನೇಷನ್ ಇರಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ ವಿ ವಾಂಟ್ ದ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್. Likewise, we have to do the directing process. Okay, so this is also one of the principle of the directing. Okay, see, the next principle is about the unity of command. Unity of command. See, as you know that what do you mean by the unity of command, right? Then what do you mean by the unity of command? So here there should be a one person, okay, should give the, or there should be a one supervisor. That person should give the instructions or the guidelines to the subordinates, or there should be a one boss. That boss should give the instruction or the command to the subordinates. That is known as the unity of command. Where we learn the unity of command? In the 14 principles of management given by F.W. Henry Furey. So in that we discussed about the unity of command, right? So unity of command na navu elli odidvi, elli andre 14 principles given by the Furey. No, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಒನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಯೂನಿಟಿ ಆಫ್ ಕಮಾಂಡ್ ಅಂತ ಓದಿದ್ವಿ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಸೊ ದ ಯೂನಿಟಿ ಆಫ್ ಕಮಾಂಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಒನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಯೂನಿಟಿ ಆಫ್ ಕಮಾಂಡ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಕೂಡ ಒನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್. ಹಾಗಾದರೆ ವಾಟ್ ಯು ಮೀನ್ ಬೈ ದ ಯೂನಿಟಿ ಆಫ್ ಕಮಾಂಡ್? ಸಿ, ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಇನ್ಸಿಸ್ಟ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ a person in the organization should receive the instructions from the one supervisor. Okay, so as a subordinate, okay, as a subordinates we have to give the instructions to the subordinates. As a supervisor he should give the command. There should be one supervisor. That supervisor should give the command or instructions or orders to the subordinates. There should not be the two or more supervisor should give the command to the subordinates. Okay, so here in this principle it insists that id en insist ಮಾಡ್ತಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ that the person in the organization or the workers in the organization they should receive the instructions from the one person. So as a worker he should receive the instructions from the one person. Obba person inda matra instructions annodna tagobeku. If instructions are received from more than one, okay, so it will going to create the confusion, conflict in the minds of the employee or the worker. See, if there is an two or more boss giving the instructions to the worker means, so in this scenario the employee will going to get the confusion about the instructions or the guidelines. Yaar work ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಹೇಗೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. Okay, so it will going to create the confusion in the mind of the employees. So in order to avoid this, okay, in order to avoid this there should be the unity of command. That is, there should be a one boss or the supervisor, and that supervisor should give the instructions, orders to the subordinates. Okay, see for example, okay, boss so boss number 1, boss 2, okay, workers or boss or supervisor. So supervisor ಅಂತನೂ ಕರಿಬೋದು. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಈ ವರ್ಕರ್ಗೆ, ಸೊ ಈ ವರ್ಕರು ಇಬ್ರು ಅಥವಾ 3 ಜನ ಬಾಸಿಂದ ಏನಾದರೂ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ತಗೋತಿದ್ರೆ, ಸೊ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ದಿಸ್ ವರ್ಕರ್ ಗೆಟ್ confusion. So ಇವನಿಗೆ ಈ ವರ್ಕರ್ಗೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. So whether I should design this work, this boss or this boss or this boss. So ನಾನು ಯಾರ ಕೆಲಸ ಕೇಳಬೇಕು, ಯಾರು ಹೇಳಿದ ವರ್ಕ್ನ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, because this person will going to give the differently they are going to give the instruction compared to him. So this person will going to give another instructions. So it will become very difficult to the worker to consider which instruction should I follow. The confusion has been created in the mind of the worker. So if there is no unity of command, but if there is an unity of command, so in unity of command, in this principle, what they say means, so there should not be a two or more boss or the supervisor. ಸೂಪರ್ವೈಸರ್ ಅನ್ನೋರು ಇಬ್ರು ಅಥವಾ ಮೂರು ಜನ ಇರಬಾರ್ದು. ಒಬ್ಬ ವರ್ಕರ್ಗೆ ಅಥವಾ ವರ್ಕರ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಒಬ್ಬ ಬಾಸ್ ಅಥವಾ ಒಬ್ಬ ಸೂಪರ್ವೈಸರು ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ನ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಇವಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ದಿಸ್ ವರ್ಕರ್ ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಗೆಟ್ ದ confusion, will not get any confusion regarding the work. So not only the regarding the work, by giving the feedback also. Okay, so this worker does not have any confusion that to whom should I give the feedback, because there is an only one boss. Okay, so that is what they are going to explain in this principle. Okay, so in directing there should be an unity of command. So unity of command, it is nothing but in this principle they are going to insist that there should be an one worker. Okay, the worker should receive the instructions from the one boss. Okay, there should not be the two or more boss. Okay, there should not be the two or more boss to give the instructions or the orders. If there is a two or more boss, it will going to create the confusion in the minds of a worker. Okay, so that there should be a unity of command, that is nothing but there is one boss and that boss should give the instructions or the orders to the subordinates. Okay, so this is about the third principle of the directing, that is the unity of command. And the next one, the principle of directing, it is about the appropriateness of direction technique. Appropriateness of directing techniques. So appropriateness of directing technique, it is also one of the principle of the directing process. Okay, so in this process, so in this principle they states that appropriate direction technique should be used by used to supervise, lead, communicate and motivate the employees. Okay, and on the basis of need, capacities, attitude and other situational variables. Okay, so here what this state means, in this principle what they are going to state means, so here we should use the directing technique. So we should appropriate directing technique ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಅಪ್ರೋಪ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗಿರೋ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕ್ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಟು ಫಾರ್ ವಾಟ್ ಪರ್ಪಸ್, ಫಾರ್ ದ ಪರ್ಪಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಸೂಪರ್ವೈಸಿಂಗ್, ಲೀಡಿಂಗ್, ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಕೇಟಿಂಗ್ and motivating the employees. Okay, on the basis of employees need, okay, on the basis of subordinates need, attitudes and the capacities. By considering all these things, we have to choose the appropriate directing technique. Okay, so in simple, in this directing technique, what they are going to state means, in this directing technique we have to, or the manager has to select the appropriate directing technique. Okay, we have to make use the appropriate directing technique for what purpose? For the purpose of supervising the subordinates, okay, lead the subordinates, motivate the subordinates, giving the instructions to the subordinates on the basis of subordinates capacities, their needs and their attitude. By considering all these things, we have to select the appropriate directing technique. See, in simple ಆಗಿ ಏನು ಹೇಳಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ, ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕ್ನ ಚೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು, ಅಪ್ರೋಪ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕ್ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಆ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕ್ನ ಚೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ, ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್, ವಾಟ್ ದ ಬೇಸ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್, ಸೊ ವಿ ಶುಡ್ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ದ ಸಬಾರ್ಡಿನೇಟ್ಸ್. ನಮ್ಮ ವರ್ಕರ್ನ ನೀಡ್ಸ್ ಏನು, ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದೇರ್ ನೀಡ್ಸ್, what are all their attitudes, what are all their capacities. By considering some of these variables, we have to select the best appropriate directing technique. Okay, so we are going to use the directing techniques for what purpose? For the purpose of giving, or for the purpose of supervision, for the purpose of leading, or and also to the communication and motivating the subordinates. We are going to make use of the directing technique. So that is what they are going to say this in this technique. Okay, see, for this let me give an example. For some people, okay, why we need to consider the capacity, need, attitude, why we have to consider all these things before giving the, or before choosing the directing technique means, because for some people monetary benefit act as a motivator. It is a powerful motivator for the some people. Okay, for some people the promotion may be the motivating factor for them. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ನಮ್ಮ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲರ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟೇಷನ್ನು ಒಂದೇ ಥರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ನಾವು ಒಂದು ಅಪ್ರೋಪ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕ್ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ಅಥವಾ ಚೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಚೂಸ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೂ ಮುಂಚೆ ನಾವೇನು ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ನಮ್ಮ ಸಬಾರ್ಡಿನೇಟ್ಸ್ ಅಥವಾ ನಮ್ಮ ವರ್ಕರ್ಸ್ನ ಆ್ಯಟಿಟ್ಯೂಡ್ಸ್ ಏನಿದೆ, ಅವರ ನೀಡ್ಸ್ ಏನಿದೆ, ಅವ್ರಿಗೇನೆಲ್ಲ ನೀಡ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ, ಅವ್ರ ಆ್ಯಟಿಟ್ಯೂಡ್ ಹೇಗಿದೆ. Okay, at the same time we have to see their capacity. So ನಮ್ಮ ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯೀಸ್ನ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟಿ ಏನು. So likewise we have to consider some of these variables before choosing or before appropriating the directing technique. Okay, because as I told that in the example only, so ನಾವು ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿದ್ವಿ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಸೊ ಕೆಲವೊಬ್ಬರ ಪರ್ಸನ್ಗೆ ಮಾನಿಟರಿ ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು, it is an powerful motivation for them. Okay, so some people ge promotion may be the motivating factors, or say for example navinaru price benefits itvi athwa monetary benefits inda enaru motivation madidvi antandre, for some people it is an powerful motivator for them. Okay, monetary rewards may be the powerful motivator for them. For some people the promotion, so in order to achieve the promotion they are going to put more efforts for the achievement of the organizational objectives alva. So likewise they are going to get motivated alva. For some people the motivation is differ. Okay, and for some people the motivational speech may be the powerful motivator ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಸೊ ಸಮ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ಗೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಮನಿ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಪವರ್ಫುಲ್ ಮೋಟಿವೇಟರ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಪ್ರಮೋಷನ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಫಾರ್ ಸಮ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಪ್ರಮೋಷನ್ ಮೇ ಬಿ ದ ಪವರ್ಫುಲ್ ಮೋಟಿವೇಟರ್ ಫಾರ್ ಸಮ್ ಪೀಪಲ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಸ್ಪೀಚ್, ಮೋಟಿವೇಶನಲ್ ಸ್ಪೀಚ್ ಇಸ್ ಅನ್ ಪವರ್ಫುಲ್ ಮೋಟಿವೇಟರ್. ಸೊ ಇದೇ ಥರ ಬೈ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರಿಂಗ್ ಆಲ್ ದಿಸ್, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಒನ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಸೊ ಒಬ್ಬ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟೇಷನ್ನು ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟೇಷನ್ನು ಸೇಮ್ ಇರಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಬೈ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರಿಂಗ್ ಆಲ್ ದೀಸ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ದ ಅಪ್ರಾಪ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ directing technique. Okay, that is what they are going to state in this principle. Okay, so this is also one of the principle of directing. Okay, so and the next one technique of the directing process, that is about the managerial communication. So managerial communication, it is also one of the principle of the directing. Okay, see, in this principle of directing, what they are going to state means the managerial communication across all the levels in the organization make directive effective. Okay, so direction ಅನ್ನೋದು ಯಾವಾಗ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, as you know that in our organization there will be there are 3 levels of management, right? Top level, middle level and lower level. Okay, so in this principle what they are going to state means, so there should be a proper communication across the levels of management in order to for what purpose? For the purpose of making the direction effective. So direction ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಆಗಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋ ಎಲ್ಲ ಲೆವೆಲ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ನಡುವೆ there should be a proper communication. Okay, in all the levels of management there should be a proper communication. Okay, so if there is a proper communication across the levels of management, it will be easy for making the communication effective. So ee scenario, so organizationally proper communication ide andag enagutte, it will helps for us for making an communication effective. Okay, so idrinda enagutte communication anodu effective agutte. Okay, and also the directing should convey the clear information. See, in the directing we should convey the clear informations to the subordinates. Namma subordinates, as a supervisor we should convey the clear informations to the subordinates, and also to create, and also we should make a clear understanding about those are all the instructions to the subordinates. Namma subordinates ಗೆ ನಾವೇನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, as a supervisor ಆಗಿ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗಿ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ನ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು. And what are all the information which we provided, or what are all the instruction which we were provided, so those are all the information should be, okay, those are all the information should be clearly understood by the subordinates. ನಾವೇನೆಲ್ಲ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀವೋ ಆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ನು ನಮ್ಮ ಸಬಾರ್ಡಿನೇಟ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಬೇಕು. ಲೈಕ್ ವೈಸ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಗಿವ್ ದ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಟು ದ subordinates. Okay, see here what they are going to say means directing should convey the clear instructions to the subordinates, and what are all the instructions which we were provided, so those are all the information should be understood by the subordinates. ನಾವೇನೆಲ್ಲ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀವೋ ಅಥವಾ ಗೈಡ್ಲೈನ್ಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀವೋ ಅದೆಲ್ಲದೂ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗಿರಬೇಕು ಮತ್ತು ಸಬಾರ್ಡಿನೇಟ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗೋ ಥರ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಓಕೆ, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಥ್ರೂ ದ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ ಫೀಡ್ಬ್ಯಾಕ್. Okay, as a manager, by getting the proper feedback, as a manager he should ensure that subordinate understand his instructions clearly. Okay, so as a manager athwa as a supervisor ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ, subordinates ಇಂದ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ ಫೀಡ್ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ತಗೋತಾನೆ. So feedback ತಗೊಂಡಾಗ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ, so whether my instructions are clearly conveyed to the subordinates or not, on what extent the supervisor or on what extent the subordinate understand my information. So likewise, by getting the feedback, the manager come to know. Okay, say for this, let me give an example for this. See, for as a teacher, so teacher ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ದ ಟಾಪಿಕ್. ಸೊ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಡಿಸ್ಕಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕಷನ್ ಅಟ್ ದ ಎಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಏನು ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ ಆಗಿರಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ಅಟ್ ದ ಎಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ವಿ ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ರೈಸ್ ದ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ನಾವೇನೆಲ್ಲ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ನ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ನ ರೈಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಟೀಚರ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಸೊ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಗೆಟ್ ದ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ ಸೈಡ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ಗೆ ನಾವೇನು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸಿಂದ ಆನ್ಸರ್ನ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಸೊ ಇಫ್ ದ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ದೋಸ್ ಆರ್ ಆಲ್ ದ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್, so they are going to easily, they are going to give the answer for those are all the question, right. So if they don't understand the concept, then they are not going to give the answer for them. So in this, the teacher come to know that how you understand the concept. Okay, so idrinda gottagutte teacher ge, so neevu aa concept ಎಷ್ಟು ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಯಾವ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ. So likewise, by getting the feedback, so as the teacher come to know, in the organization also, by getting the feedback, so initially as a manager he is going to provide the instructions to the subordinates. Okay, so after giving the instructions, the subordinates will go, the supervisor will going to get the or collect the feedback from the subordinates. So in that scenario, the manager will going to come to know how the subordinate get the instructions. Okay, subordinates ಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಅಥವಾ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದ ತರಾನೇ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೋ ಇಲ್ಲೋ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ. Okay, so this is what happened in this case, in this principle. Okay, so in this principle, in simple, what they are going to state means, in this principle they are going to state that in across the levels of management there should be a proper communication. If there is a proper communication means it will very easy to make the effective communication. Okay, and as a manager he should convey the clear information or instructions to the subordinates. Okay, and those are all the information should be understood by the subordinates. Okay, through and also through the getting some feedbacks, the manager will going to ensure that subordinate understand his instructions clearly. So feedback ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಏನು ಸಬಾರ್ಡಿನೇಟ್ಸು ಈ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ನ ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಅಥವಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ. So this is about the another principles of the directing, or else we can say it is another rules or guidelines for the manager for directing process. Okay, see, and the next one, okay, the next one principle or the rules or the guideline for the manager, it is about for the directing is about the using of informal organization. Using of informal organization. See, as you know that what is organization, okay, what is formal organization and what is informal organization. So nimage gottu what do you mean by the formal organization. Before moving to the using of informal organization, so let me recall what do you mean by the formal and the informal. Okay, see, when it comes to the formal organization, here we are going to see the well defined structure of authority and responsibility. See, yella organization allu we can see the both the things alva, that is formal organization ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ, informal organization ಕೂಡ ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ. So formal organization ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? So first one is about So formalized organization andre here we are going to see the well defined, okay, well defined of authority and responsibility that we are going to see in the formal organization, and also the relationship between the members of the organization that is also pre-decided. So ಮುಂಚೆನೇ ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. Say for example manager and his worker. So manager ಮತ್ತೆ ಅವನ subordinate. Say for example the general manager ಏನು ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜರ್. ಸೊ ಈ ಪೊಸಿಷನ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮುಂಚೆನೇ ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಅಂಡ್ ಇವರಿಬ್ರು ರಿಲೇಶನ್ಶಿಪ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅನ್ ವೆಲ್ ಎಸ್ಟಾಬ್ಲಿಷ್ಡ್. Okay, so that is called it as an formal organization. So in the organization, so formally andre even though they are the good friends, so even though they are the good friends, the departmental manager has to call him as a boss. That is called it as an, because he belongs to the top level, he belongs to the middle level. Okay, so he should call him as a sir or the boss. So that relationship it is called it as a formal organizing. So in formal organizing we are going to see the well defined of authority and responsibility, and also the relationship with the workers that has clearly defined. Okay, so that is about the formal organizing. And also in the formal organizing, as I said that here predefined set of, here we are going to see the predefined set of rules, regulations, policies, plans, schedules, programs, etc. Here so ಎಲ್ಲದು ಮುಂಚೆನೇ ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ in formal organizing. But when it comes to the informal organization, so informal organization, so it is also one of the organization so that has existed in the organization. In the formal organization only we are going to see the informal organization. So informal organization ಅನ್ನೋದು formal organization ಒಳಗೆ exist ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಹಾಗಾದ್ರೆ and this cannot be avoidable. Okay, so this informal organization it is not avoidable. ಇದನ್ನ avoid ಮಾಡಕ್ ಆಗದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. And also as a manager he should ignore this informal organization. So ಈ informal organization ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ